You're right, that should do. Hi. Hi, hello, and welcome. Yeah, it's still stopping at the end of each one. Hold on. What if I tell you to play all of them? Keep, it, keep the playlist open. 17 minutes long shouldn't be that bad. Playback. Repeat all. Shuffle. Go. That should do it. Okay. So, yeah, different background music tonight. Today. This is by Fopound, found at bensound.com. Information will be in the VOD. You can always ask me as well. Also, hi, welcome to Jimbles' day off doing a bit of a bonus stream. I hope you're excited. I'm vaguely excited. I just wanted to do a new playthrough of Book of Hungry Names because it's been so long, and while people enjoy it, it's not the favorite thing out of everyone on the stream. But I wanted to do it, and while everyone tells me I should just be doing what I want the whole time, that doesn't seem like me at all. So instead, I'm just going to take the time now to, on a day off, figure out exactly what I want to do, and today that is play this. Yeah, it's not, don't always, maybe that. Just try that. Go VLC. VLC's running in the background because for some reason I was having trouble just making other audio just pass through. So I went with this. And we're good to go. In any case, I'm just going to read Werewolf the Apocalypse, Book of Hunger Names by Kyle Marquis. Information will be available on Blue Sky about what the game is, what it's about. You can check on the other VODs. When I streamed last night, one of the other possibilities was playing through Pentiment, but I've had like not a bad day, just a day, and that means it's 2 o'clock. It's not over yet. There's quite a lot left to enjoy in this day, but there's slightly more energy in doing Pentiment instead of just reading out a novel. So I want to read out a novel, and that's what we're going to do. We're just going to do that, have a good time, and I'm probably going to forget you're here. I'll be looking this way, not even looking at my levels, and probably wondering every few minutes, hey, where'd the music fucking go? And then fix that. Otherwise, that does mean that if you are watching me, you don't owe me anything. I highly encourage you to just chill out, maybe you can use a highlight chat message if you want me to pay attention. I should be able to see that or hear a notification. Otherwise, I'm just going to go for as long as I can or as long as I feel like it. Keep taking sips of my water, which is a little bit of cordial and a vitamin C tablet. It just gives a little bit of extra tang, and there's nothing wrong with having a little bit extra vitamin C during cold and flu season, which for me is all the time. So we'll go to options first. Storytell mode tells you what are in check. Yeah, I think that's good. I'd like that. Don't want to turn Iron Wolf mode on. Don't turn off the portraits. Don't show status as digits. Cool. Menu. Restart. Because it turns out looks like I can do it there. No, this is a different one. No, that's good. Werewolf the Apocalypse, The Book of Hungry Names by Kyle Marquis. Your breath steams. You have run for hours. You don't feel tired. You haven't really felt tired since the change. Snow swirls, bitterly cold lake effect snow that stings your eyes. The sky and ground are white. The trees across the empty meadow black where frost doesn't hang from their branches. Only one thing moves, leaving a winding trail through the trees. Your prey. You're downwind of it, though not for long, as unpredictable gusts send snow devils racing across the open terrain, and you can smell the acrid reek of steel and plastic. Your prey is close, and you know you have to prove yourself this time. Your last chance. You shake the thought away. You uncovered this threat, after all. You found what eluded the others, and they permitted you to lead the hunt. Like your spiritual ancestors long ago, whose battles against the demons of the earth became legends of Beowulf, Heracles, Saint Martha, you turned all your knowledge and skill to tracking down this monster, this unclean spirit, this bane. Gaia's warriors have kept records since before the ancient Sumerians scratched lines into clay. I consulted the old records to learn about this bane, its habits, and its weaknesses. Your people don't keep their real secrets in books. Their lore is sung or howled down the long nights, but written records do exist, and not just pulp occult trash about wolfsbane and hairy palms. So when you needed answers, you turned to the small, carefully curated selection of texts that you could trust. What was this unclean spirit? What monstrous urges brought it into the world? What power could it wield over unsuspecting mortals or over the defiled earth that you were tasked to protect? And what could send it shrieking back to the netherworld? He found a name in the sign of the burning hand, a torn codex bound in black vellum and translated from medieval French into Marlowe's old-fashioned English, and further answers in a nameless pile of dot matrix printouts from the early days of Usenet. You learned the spirit's habits, and here you are. And as the ice wind dies down and the snowflakes drift to the cold ground, you see your prey clearly for the first time. It's a man in white Arctic camouflage, face hidden by goggles and a fur-lined balaclava. Despite his modern assault rifle and the ruggedized tablet computer in his hip, he's mounted on a tall black horse. His thrust what appears to be a steel lance into the snow. It whips back and forth in the cold wind, yet somehow flies swarm around him in thick black clouds, droning so loudly you can hear them. You know you should focus on the moment, but your thoughts turn to everything you have learned since your first change, about the enemy, about Gaia, the living earth. You were not always what you are now. But I knew about Gaia's champions. I studied their lore, our lore, and helped settle disputes as speaker and problem solver. The rage is terrible. You knew that even before you felt it burning in your throat. Gaia's heroes were also monsters. While your mum and dad handled finances, bought and sold cars, made sure that the police didn't get themselves killed sniffing around, you served as a messenger. And then as a kind of negotiator. You were still a kid, but even monsters didn't like ripping kids apart, and you learned how to cool tempers and get people to see both sides of an issue. Not everything is about the enemy, you know. Not everything needed teeth and claws. You made mistakes, of course. There was this one old arsehole, an old guy named Clay, who was always in the middle of some pissy power struggle or another. He hated your parents, too. Hated them for providing you with money and rides, making sure his friends had a place to crash or wash the blood out of their hair. People are like that. They get proud, and if you give them too much, they get mean. It had been a long day of dealing with every kind of bullshit when you came home to find the dining room smashed to pieces, and your parents screaming at each other about whose fault it was. Yours, apparently. They'd been blaming you for more and more, as you tried to handle more and more, and that just made you so angry. The injustice of it all. There wasn't a lot of justice in what happened next. Of course, you don't remember anything about your first change, just a wave of rage and hate, and waking up naked and covered in blood with Clay kicking the shit out of you because he just torn his two best contacts apart. He took you in afterwards. He sort of had to, but he never forgave you. But where is Clay now? He should be here with the others, with the pack. Where is everyone? Pushing away memories of your first change, you sniff the air and look around. Nothing but swirling snow and the horse and rider picking their way past the dead trees. It's time to act. Clay says you've disappointed him twice before. He says he wants you to really join the pack, but not as a failure, not as a burden. Everything you've done these past few weeks has led up to the destruction of this monster. You chose this night for a reason. The same moon hangs in the sky as the night of your first change. A moon that gives you strength and focus, that defines you, defines who you are as one of Gaia's champions. The Garou, the werewolves. A crescent moon above the tree line, horned moon for the horned gods of the woods, the auspice of sorcery and spirits. You can almost see them in the swirl of ice on the frozen ground, the cold glitter of the stars in the Milky Way as it winds past the crescent moon down to the western horizon where the red haze of the buffalo burns in the night. You can almost hear them as the wind howls. The spirits. Gaia casts a shadow, and that shadow is the Umbra, the spirit world. Changed under the crescent moon, you have just started to speak with its inhabitants. You've performed the rites, obeyed the laws, and you know what kind of enormity this bane's appearance represents. Its existence defiles the world, spills putrescence across the snow. The droning winter flies are only an outward manifestation of its inner rot. You will deal with this atrocity, and then you will thank the spirits for the honor of helping them. You are Crescent Moon, a Theurge. Others like you might call themselves shamans or sorcerers or priestesses, but right now you are only a young wolf doing what must be done. The spirits cry out, and you will answer. The ice wind shifts, and the bane steps up towards the trees, its outline breaking apart as its cloud of flies rises up. You smell the others, Clay and Scarpa and Blacktarn, but they're not here yet, and the bane might still escape into the trackless forest. But you've planned for this moment since you first read about banes in the Sign of the Burning Hand, and you've already taken on the ideal form. Glabro, the bestial near-human, I carry a bow, and this form's great strength and speed turns the archaic weapon into the instrument of swift death. Most werewolves favour the monstrous Krynos form for close quarters battle, and that form is a true engine of destruction, able to spread terror and madness in regular humans. But this creature is no human, and it will not fear you. In addition, fighting a mounted soldier on foot seems unwise in any form. Instead, you unsling your bow, careful to make no sound in your bulky parka. Guns are loud and strangely ineffective against unnatural flesh. You've already selected the barbed arrow you want, and now you set it comfortably in your string, exactly the way you've practiced. The Glabro form gives you almost an extra foot of height and enough muscle that your arrow can punch through steel. Let's see if it can punch through a man's torso. Release, hiss, thump. Yes, it can. The black fletching disappears into the arctic camo of the horseman's coat. The arrowhead slips between two ribs and pierces his heart. He jerks, fumbles with the safety of his assault rifle. You move laterally among the trees and put a second arrow into his neck. It goes all the way through his throat, disappears somewhere out into the woods. Then a third flies into his temple, shattering goggles and skull. The horse rears and the dead man falls into the snow with a faint crunch. Flies swirl up into the freezing air as you approach from a higher up on the slope, setting a fourth barbed arrow on the string. The rider is dead. Then the horse turns and fixes its black eyes on you. "You guessed wrong, little wolf," it says through bloody lips. Then its incisors lengthen and it scrambles up the incline, blood and drool spilling from its suddenly massive jaws. Where are the others? No matter, this thing is coming for you. So far, everything had gone according to plan, just as you had practiced 100 times, but now you're forced to think of the fly as you confront the real threat. This mangled horse thing. You taste blood in your mouth, hear your frightened breath. Now it's for real. No mistakes. Hey, Leona, I'm glad you're listening in. This is going to be mostly Jimbles reads you an audiobook, so enjoy. I steel my nerves and put an arrow down the horse thing's throat. The monster scrambles up the hill, moving more like a big cat than any horse you've ever seen, then leaps, clearing 10 yards in an effortless bound. You loose your arrow, hitting the horse thing in its upper chest. It twists in midair and you draw another arrow the moment before it crashes down, clipping you and knocking you into the snow. You both slide across the ice, kicking and snarling. One of its hooves catches you across the face, laying open the side of your head from ear to chin. You can't bring your bow around, but you're still holding an arrow, and you drive it into the monster's flank 3 times as you slide. When you skid to a halt, you climb onto the thrashing horse thing and drive the arrow into it again and again until the arrowhead snaps off and the monster stops fighting. You touch your face, as the horse thing's hoof would have split a regular person's head open. It's starting to heal, though your molars is still jostling for position. Your gloves come away bloody, but when you work your jaw, you're able to form sounds. The parka is covered in blood, but you have a plan for that. You unfurl a cheap rain poncho and throw it on, hiding the stains. Your face is still messy, but you know a place where you can wash up. It's at Speedway near the Amazon hub a few miles away. Chapter 1. The People of the Map. Against whom shall we do battle? Where shall we direct our attack when the very breath in our lungs is impregnated with the same injustice that haunts our thinking and holds the stars in stupefaction? Emile Kieran, probably. A Short History of Decay. Show stats! 1 strength, 2 dex. 1 stam, 2 charisma, 2 manipulation, 3 composure. 3 intelligence, 2 wits, 1 resolve. Not bad. 2 academics, 1 in aim. 1 in awareness, 1 in investigation, 1 in persuasion. Alright. Flies fall dead onto the snowy ground, forming a black halo around the dead horse in the shadow of an abandoned pipeline that stretches east-west across the landscape. You did it! Clay sent you to destroy the Bane, and though it wasn't easy, you destroyed both the rider and the horse thing. You stand beneath Clay's greatest victory, the abandoned oil pipeline, contemplating the future. You won't be a cub anymore, but a true Garou. You'll be able to seek renown and respect to join one of the remaining tribes of the Garou Nation. You can join Clay's pack, but is that even what you want, to linger here with your miserable elders? As a true Garou, you could seek out your own pack or walk the world for a time on your own. Gaia suffers everywhere. As the monster's blood cools in the snow, you consider what you really want. Wisdom. To learn what has happened to Gaia, to the spirit world, and to the paths our ancestors used to walk. In his darker moods, which come more and more often now, Clay says that you were born after the world ended. The physical stuff is still around, but the spirit that gave it meaning is already dead. Before you first changed, he and his companions saw the true nature of the oil pipeline that now rises empty and neglected above you. That its physical form was only a shadow of spiritual darkness, a knife aimed at Gaia's heart. He and his fellow Garou destroyed its spirit, leaving only this shell. But now Clay is consumed by grief and despair, and you know that his conviction that it's too late is only partly true. The spirit world is maimed, and the Wyrm, the enemy, the principle of ruin, is strong. But is the Wyrm victorious already? Is Gaia dead? That's what you want to know. And if you have to journey across this world and others to learn the truth, that's what you're going to do. As you contemplate the spirit world, the Wyrm, and the role of your people in Gaia's suffering, a strange smell draws your attention. It's the dead horse in the snow. Sometimes, Fomori, that's the name you learn for when a Bane possesses a person or animal, sometimes Fomori rot quickly after death, consumed by the putrescence of the Wyrm. Other times, Clay's packmate Scarpa has to roll the corpse up in a rug and take it to a pig farm that his ex-girlfriend owns. That's always a hassle. But though this horse's fanged teeth have disappeared and now it looks like an ordinary dead horse, the flesh smells sweet and strong, as if still held some power within it. The litany, the laws of your people, tell you not to eat the flesh of humans. This monster was never human, but still, you hesitate. I won't eat the dead. I offer the proper prayers to whatever spirits still watch over this place, and I thank them for my victory. This is your role as Theurge, after all, to speak with the spirit world before and after blood has been spilled. Clay's pack has a Theurge, but she's not always available. You've studied the rites and ways of the Garou. The only question now is whether the spirit world still hears you. Maybe it's true what they say that the apocalypse has already come and gone, killing the Earth's living spirit and leaving only mad ghosts. But you can't dwell on that now. You can only say the words, offer your sincere thanks for your victory this night. Then you hear bitter, howling laughter carried on the ice wind. Not the spirits of this place. Clay's Theurge. She squats atop a tree stump, a huge black wolf with corpse blue eyes. Would you take my place, little usurper? She whispers. Clay moves in the shadows behind her, looming in monstrous shape, over 10 feet high. But where is the third of their company? Where is Scarpa? I mean no disrespect, Black Tarn. I only want the spirits to know our work. This is what the litany asks of me. The spirits know and are silent for a reason, pup. The old woman snaps, her voice a tangled nightmare as it emerges from her muzzle. They do not need a reverence of a 3-time failure. Failure. Confused, you turn as Scarpa, tall and lean and shaggy in his near-human form, stalks down the slope, bloody knife in hand, to stand beside the older Theurge. I finished your work, idiot, Scarpa says. I finished the Bane. We're not done yet. People might still be in danger if the Bane still exists in the spirit world, or if there are more. We need to investigate. Could you please, for once in your life, stop saying the dumbest shit I've ever heard, Scarpa says as Clay gnaws on horseflesh. We're not done yet because I have to clean up your mess, not because we're going to Dora the Explorer our way to uncovering King of the Banes. And if we were, you would be the one doing it, pup. It'd be me, because he didn't kill the Bane. I did. He gestures with his knife across his hairy throat. You sputter. Where to begin? The Bane was the horse Clay is feeding on right now, not the man. The man was already dead. You can see the arrow wounds. He finished them both without help, even though the others were supposed to back you up. We're supposed to... What would be the point of arguing? You look from Clay's blood-smeared face to Scarpa's gleeful smirk to Black Tarn's hard, mad glare, and you know that you will find neither mercy nor fairness here. This pack is faithless and treacherous, consumed by old grudges. A litany is just a weapon to them. You will win no arguments here, nor find any wisdom among these cruel old wolves. Get back to the van, Scarpa tells you. Get yourself cleaned up, you look like shit. We're going to have to clean up your mess. He flings the keys at you, expecting you to miss them in the darkness, but you snag them out of midair. He snarls, but Clay just continues to gorge himself on the horse thing. Keys in hand, you trudge through the snow under the dead winter trees for maybe 10 minutes. In the silence and darkness, you forget about Clay, the Bane, and the old pipeline as you pass through a twilight world of shifting shadows and gusting snow, the world as it was 10,000 years ago. And you suddenly spill back out into the regular world as if stepping onto a rectangular map laid out on a table. Trucks rumble down a country road, human silhouettes pass under fluorescent lights, a smell of diesel and fast food. One step takes you from the desolate wilderness into what passes for northern New York civilization, a loading bay behind an Amazon fulfillment center. Your wounds ache. As a werewolf, you can easily regenerate from most wounds, except those caused by silver fire or fangs of certain supernatural monsters, like other werewolves. You can focus your spiritual energies now and regenerate from your injuries. In the Glabro form you're in now, as well as the other two supernatural forms, the dire wolf Hispo or the Krinos war form, you can focus your spiritual energy quickly and heal from injuries. However, wounds, a night's rest, terrible. Regenerate fully. When you first learned of Werewolf's amazing regenerative powers, you didn't appreciate how you'd experience all the pain of a month-long recovery in a few minutes. Now you know how your flesh gropes clumsily like a blind man, sealing itself back together, repairing torn nerve endings in a frenzy of agonizing life urge. In seconds, the living energy of Gaia has healed you inside and out and left you shuddering in pain and nausea. It's past midnight and traffic on the nearby road is infrequent, so you regain your natural form, what werewolves call the homid. That transformation is always easier than the others. Barely any blood drips from your ears anymore, but the cold hits you like a bucket of ice water. Noting the cameras, you dart across the road to the rusted-out Chevy Astro in the Speedway parking lot, pull yourself inside, store your bow and arrows, and then just sit there. What are you supposed to do? Cry? Scream and rage, except your fate is a permanent cub in a 3-guru pack where the youngest member is 53 and they all think the world has already ended? Nothing wrong with a good cry. I'm going to do that for a few minutes. The bitter absurdity of your situation is not lost on you. You grew up knowing about the guru, but you always thought, maybe you always hoped, that you'd remain on the outside looking in. The visceral experience of this life, the horror and dread of your shifting flesh, is nothing compared to being trapped in this minuscule pack, obsessed with controlling your every move. For a while you keep your thoughts contemplative and philosophical, so you don't even know when exactly you start crying. But when a Honda truck parks next to a van, you realize that your face is wet. You find a mostly empty travel pack of Kleenex in Clay's old army jacket, clean yourself up as best you can, then catch yourself in the rearview mirror. You'll never be one of them, one of the people of the map. Your face is streaked with tears and mud, your hair dark with blood. You're a haunted, wretched-looking young man. You look like a bum. Cheap clothes because you keep ripping them. Hair hacked short because otherwise it gets tangled when you change. Everything bent around the need to change. Everything distorted by the wolf. A warped mirror you, like the real one is somewhere else, wearing chinos and a sweater at a college party right now instead of a dirty parka and a torn black fleece covered in stains. You finish cleaning yourself up, then glance in the other side view mirror and catch movement on the far side of the parking lot, where the semis are parked. Black Tarn darts between two trucks, still in the form of a huge wolf. She freezes, bewildered, as if she'd never seen a parking lot before, never seen the normal world of signs and maps. And Scarpa appears, dragging what appears to be a huge, dragging what at first glance looks like a huge black plastic trash bag with someone in it. Did they bag another monster? And then you recognize the screams and growls coming from the thing Scarpa is dragging. It's Clay. A moment later, you realize that it's not a trash bag at all. It's Clay's flesh, shifting and sloughing off, leaving a trail of black filth between the semis. The Bane fight felt slowed down, as if it took hours, but now everything is happening too fast. Black Tarn is in the middle of the parking lot near the diesel pumps, howling as if she can summon all the spirits of northern New York. Scarpa, 7 feet tall and shaggy, still in his near-human form, keeps trying to drag or carry Clay. And Clay is a nightmare. A tangle of shifting flesh, black as oil except for occasional white glimpses of bone or teeth. Where is his blood? You hop out of the van and scan the parking lot. Someone is going to see Black Tarn. In fact, a truck driver is slip-sliding through the snow around his cab now. And if he gets near her, you fear what she'll do. She's already walked under a camera pointed at the pumps, and the other two will be there in a moment. A huge dog recorded on camera is bad enough, but what happens if someone sees Clay? And what happened to Clay? Can you help him? Should you? As you watch, the now familiar face of Uncle Clay bursts out of the black tangle, expression twisted in a rictus of agony. You finally see blood around his lips. Maybe eating the horse was a bad idea. Pick up a rock or something and break that camera. Better a vandalism charge than a recording of Clay. Your bow is unstrung in the back of the van. In need of care after your rough handling in the freezing weather. You didn't have time to get it ready, but you do have time to grab an old metal valve someone left next to the propane canisters. It's lighter than you'd like, but you toss it in the air once, testing its weight. It'll do. You wait for the freezing wind to die down, shift your fingers on the valve before they go numb from the cold, and throw. Easier than shooting a bow at a monster, that's for sure. The valve clicks off the camera and moves it up, maybe half an inch. That's all you need. It's pointed up at the distribution center's exterior walls now, not down at a scream. Black Tarn, still in the shape of a huge wolf, rips the trucker's throat out. You step their way, but it's hopeless. The man is either dead or he'll bleed out in under a minute, and Scarpa is heading your way with whatever is left of Clay. Fucking move! Scarpa yells, pushing past you to hurl Clay into the back of the van. BT, come on, we need... What is this shit? Black Tarn shifts into a homing form over the steaming corpse, then runs, naked and blood-smeared, past where the camera was just pointing. She jumps into the back with Clay. Keys! Scarpa shouts. You toss him the keys and hop in the passenger seat while Black Tarn stays with Clay in the back. The van peels out of the parking lot. Why do you warn that guy? It was a camera, you say. I needed to... A fucking camera? Are you stupid? The Galliard snaps as he blows to the red and turns left. She tore that guy to pieces and you're worried about a camera? I'm going to have to go back this morning and talk to cops about an animal attack. Fucking fool. Not stopping BT when you could have. Drop me off and I'll hide the dead trucker. Models are nothing but trouble and we need to stop an investigation before it starts. Shut the fuck up, Scarpa yells, his voice wobbling up and down octaves as he deflates back into her mid-size. Drop me off, he shouts, a crude impression of your voice. This is all your fault. All your fault? I think the person you killed today was that rider. Black Tarn lost control. Again. But Scarpa isn't slowing down, so it doesn't look like you'll be able to fix her mess tonight. And Clay... It's a frantic 10-minute drive to the auto recycling center when some corrugated fencing and old trailers mark the home of northern New York's greatest champions of Gaia. A blackened chunk of the pipeline hangs like a trophy over the main gate. The garage door opener in the van isn't working again, and Scarpa starts screaming and ripping at the steering wheel until you hop out of the van and throw the door open manually. Galliard almost clips you as he guns the engine, and the rusty yellow van lurches into the garage. He stumbles out the driver's side door, swearing about the snow around the garage door that you didn't shovel. I'm okay, is the first thing Clay says when you throw open the back of the van. Don't worry, it's fine. It's not fine. Though the old werewolf has returned to his hermit form, that's all 4 of you now, his face is streaked with black veins and his teeth are bloody. A grey film covers his eyes. I told you not to eat, Black Tarn tells the old man. A first share of the kill for greatest in station, Clay whispers. Maybe that part of the litany made sense once, 1,000 years ago. Clay tries to spit at Black Tarn, but only vomits blood. What do we do? Scarpa whispers, on the verge of panic. Watch him, Black Tarn says. Her eyes are clear, her voice firm, her madness is past, and she is once again your mentor in the spirit arts. You, cub, come with me. She heads into the breezeway, stumbling over old phone books you're not allowed to throw out, and hastily dressed in cast-off clothes. You make sure she's wearing boots. If you want the spirits to tell you what happened to Clay, it was that flesh he ate. Violation of the litany's spirit, if not its letter. Well, okay. Can the spirits help us? Even as a theurge, I almost never interact directly with that half of my nature. Now, let's do... It was that flesh. Correlation is not causation, Black Tarn says. Ah, you don't expect that sort of clear-headed analysis from your old mentor, do you? Think of this ruined world as a spiderweb smeared in shit. Touch any part of the web and the whole thing vibrates, and also shit flies everywhere. Cause and effect are trickier to discover than you think, cub, but maybe we can learn something. You follow her, from the breezeway into the cluttered and filthy living area. Old sofa, wood-panelled walls, the smell of wet animals, through Black Tarn's kitchen with its hanging dried herbs, sage, parsley, others that don't go in food and don't have names, and its overflowing trash can. You've been focused on that bane and haven't cleaned all week, which means nothing has been cleaned. Black Tarn kicks some cardboard boxes out of the way and opens the cracked storm door that leads into the garden. Do not fucking leave, Scarpa shouts from the other room. We have 2 crime scenes to clean up. Black Tarn yanks her outside. Even under a blanket of snow, the garden is beautiful, stark blue-white under the starlight, shaded by 3 old and gnarled apple trees. Low stone walls wind around the garden, also snow-covered, a gentle and natural counterpoint to the hard and ugly lines of the recycling centre-turned lair. The air here even feels warmer, and though you're covered in blood, you feel pure here. A crystal-clear stalactite spills from the gnarled limb of an apple tree all the way to the ground. When you catch your ghastly reflection in it, you know enough to fear what Black Tarn plans. Come, little cub, we must learn more. We must enter the Umbra, the world of spirits, and there is no time to delay. The Umbra, the spirit shadow cast by living earth. Once a place for Guru to heal, seek enlightenment, and, if you believe Scarpa, ambush enemies from the 4th dimension. Now it is nearly inaccessible. You heard vaguely about the Umbra, the spirit world, before your first change, but even then you struggled to understand what werewolves really were. The movies talked about flesh and rage and madness, and yes, there's plenty of that, but there is also so much more. Werewolves are the warrior mystics of the living earth, heirs to a spirit tradition that stretches back before recorded history. The spirit of my pack has been asleep for a long time, Black Tarn says, her voice tired. The spirits sleep because they are too weak to act, but we may be able to awaken them for a time. They alone can help Clay. You start to contemplate how much that matters to you. Then Black Tarn squeezes your wrist hard enough to bruise. Yeah, Werewolf 5. Absolutely right. And I have very little experience with WTA. Or even Werewolf the Forsaken. I've actually read Forsaken, but I haven't even read Awakening. Not Awakening. Apocalypse. It's very good, though. And Black Tarn squeezes your wrist hard enough to bruise. Tell me who you are, cub, she says. You are no true guru yet, and have no deed name. You hope the spirits will react to either the first name on your New York State ID, or the names your normal friends called you back when you had normal friends, because you don't have anything else. I need to get my keyboard. Your name is Penny? Yeah, Penny. It's no Black Tarn. Even Clay is really Eyes of Clay, a deed name for brave deeds before your parents are born. But your sullen mentor waves you toward the apple tree and you say your name. Then again, louder. The air feels thin. Your vision sparkles. Good, Black Tarn says. She laughs, then howls. They'll hear us, Penny. The spirit of this place hears us. Now follow if you can. She stares at her reflection, then she's gone. Icicle cracks and spills onto the ground, and for a moment you see 1,000 Black Tarns reflected in their facets as she disappears into the Umbra. But you remain where you are. Black Tarn was supposed to teach you how to enter the Umbra when you first began your journey as a Crescent Moon werewolf, but she never did. But if you want wisdom, answers to questions you've asked, to questions you don't know how to ask, you know where they'll wait for you. the Umbra. There you go. Black Tarn has spoken about occult patterns in the land. I think back to her lessons. Where did she say it was another thin point around here? Black Tarn has been a neglectful mentor at best, but you have listened to her mystical ramblings over the years. You need to think your way through this, to remember Black Tarn's words, almost never to you, but to Clay or Scarpa or the empty air. Once Garou could enter the Umbra as easily as taking a breath, but now it requires rites or gifts or the blessing of a powerful spirit. Black Tarn taught you no rites, you wield no gifts, and Beaver is asleep. But you cobble something together in your desperate need. But could you cobble something together in your desperate need? You remember her telling you about her umbral rite. She used a reflective surface to focus her will. Probably not the van's foggy mirror, but there are rivers beyond the garden. You start to walk, following a faint thinness in the air, a sign of Black Tarn's passage. What does Scarpa call entering the Umbra? Stepping sideways. Black Tarn always sneered at the term. Flippant, she said, but as you walk into the woods, you find yourself beside a narrow frozen river. No snow covers it, and the reflected stars shine in its depths. You move laterally along the bank, and something huge comes into view, blotting out the stars. Beaver, the spirit of this place, visible among the pale stars and the glittering ice. Beaver floats in slumber, tumbling slowly like a civilization-ending asteroid, rimed with frost and glittering with starlight. Trails wind through the frozen river, made of stars or spirits or ice. A canine shape slips among one of them, a flickering black shadow, and then disappears. Your fingers touch the ice. You're off the map now, close to the Umbra, but not there yet. We're doing this to cure Clay, and the first step is looking around for what infected him. Do I see anything unclean on the other side of the ice? You've never seen the Umbra. You're not even sure this is the spirit world itself or just some kind of pocket realm where Beaver dwells. You'd look for the flies that covered the horse and rider, sniff the ice for the scent of rancid or sweet-smelling meat. Nothing. This place at least seems untouched by the Bane's rancid presence, but what does that mean? Lean over the ice and realize that you've leaned your head into the water. The ice? No, you pull back. Silver-white ripples echo across the surface of the river, ripples in the ice as it flows like water. You try again, pushing your head through the surface. There is no sensation of cold or of breaking ice. The waves open, and you prepare to step through. As the wind howls and the wall between the worlds starts to come down, Black Tarn appears as an occulting of the frozen stars. She drifts towards you, half wolf and half woman, eyes like galaxies, her clawed hand reaching for you. But you can see her in a struggle, and as the barriers fade and she floats within reach, her expression grows vague again in a way you recognize. And hard and cruel. Stupid cub, she says, her voice wild and mad. Let it end here. No more ambitious little pups, no more footprints in the snow. Leave us alone. And she brings her fist down on the wall from the other side. It shatters and collapses, blasting you with ice and grit. And when you can see again, the river ice is cracked and frozen, and the way is shut. The spirit world retreats like it was never there, the enchantment bleeding out of the world as the crescent moon disappears below the western horizon, as if the moon has dissolved in the night pollution of Buffalo. From somewhere the angry blat 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 of a truck's air brakes. You were terribly cold. Did you see anything wicked in there? Something that should never be allowed into this world? Who said that? Who thought that? Your head swims. Don't you know who you are, where you begin and end? Perhaps you don't have my clarity of will, at least not yet. Sitting on a crumbling brick wall is a little grey house cat. That's right, here I am. Well, here is a body. A bit scrawny, sick, I fear. One last moment of glory before the end. Kitty! I don't think your companion wants anyone following her, and I doubt she can save herself or Eyes of Clay. If you want to help him, you'll have to do it yourself. Are you a spirit? I assume my best manners. This house cat might be half a god or more. A good plan, Penny. But are you sure you can trust me? Maybe I'm that Bane you thought you killed, except you only killed a body, and I permit myself a little laugh. Tricky in cat form, but not impossible. You admire my sleek elegance. There, again, the limits of my power. I cannot command you to admire me. I cannot write in the book of the world like I used to. But what about the others? Should I actually tell the others that you found a way to help Eyes of Clay? Would they believe me? Maybe they'd call me Wyrm Spawn for my insolence. Of course, things might be different If we could bring back some useful information from those corpses. The storm-colored cat hops off the brick wall and starts cutting through the woods. You shake off the snow covering you and stamp your feet. The spirit turns and beckons for you to hurry. She looks tired and thin with patches of missing fur and blood on her paw pads. No, do I really look like that? Great Gaia, you're right. Once I shamed the sphinxes haunted by the dreams of tigers. And you don't have many chances left. You failed twice tonight. First when you failed to kill the rider, then when you let Black Tarn kill the traveller. What will they do if you fail a third time tonight? If you can't learn something to help your wounded packmate? If I were a less trusting soul, I'd think you're deliberately turning me against my fellow Garou. But they are not your pack, you know. Or think. Or maybe I think it for you. This body isn't slowing down, you'll notice. Please keep pace. And should I remind you that you're just a cub, a werewolf, but not Garou. You're less a member of the pack than the beaver spirit or the van. But let's actually think about how to fix this problem. I sprint to the woods on delicate feet, leaving sad red tracks widely spaced, then stop on a fallen pine and turn as you hurry to catch up. I look quite elegant, neck long and sleek, eyes shining. Great Gaia, I am magnificent. Not a ragged skin puppet at all. So let's review what we know. We are at least reasonably confident that Clay ate tainted flesh. The flesh, you recall, was quite tempting. Can we learn something from that? What about the accoutrement of the horse and rider? Is there anything that can tell us about what happened to Eyes of Clay? And you see that I've led you through the woods, back to the site of your battle. The horse is still there, its remaining guts strewn all over the snow, already frozen. A faint howl drifts through the air. Black Tarn? You can't be sure, and if I know, I'm not saying. What about Black Tarn? She could end up lost in the Umbra forever if we can't help her. But is she really your responsibility? Not your thoughts, mine again. But seriously, would you want her to be your responsibility? Do you want to join Clay's pack as watches the mad woman? She has not closed the spirit door all the way, which means you may be able to find her, but leading her back to safety? It would require great patience to encourage her back out of the brambles of her madness and then pull her again into this world. What about that weird lance the rider had? I've never seen anything like that. You approach a spot where the rider fell. The lance still sticks out of the snow about 5 yards from the horseman's corpse. It'll blaze like a torch when the sun rises, but right now it's just a grey shaft against the blackness of tree trunks. You wipe some of the snow away, revealing markings. Wait, no, numbers. Sorry, I'm not good with numbers. I think I'll let you handle this. A serial number. You wonder if this thing is some kind of worm artifact, but it's not made of silver and doesn't bear any strange glyphs, and it's rather fragile. You're not even sure it's supposed to be a weapon, some kind of tool? Actually, hold on a bit. You could write down those symbols, those numbers, and maybe go through this dead man's pockets and use your clever little human machines to track down where this lance came from. That could give you a lot of information. People love information, even your people. Go back to your pack with a little notebook full of addresses, and you'd make some friends. That would require an internet connection, the library, which opens in a few hours, and some brains to conduct the necessary research. The horse saddle wasn't made of monster skin. The horse had a normal-looking saddle. Could we figure out who made it? Examine the horse thing. Dead and by now partly frozen. Blood is everywhere. Its entrails have been eaten and blood stains the snow. But that saddle looks like an ordinary leather saddle. You don't see any Garou glyphs or anything explicitly supernatural. Maybe you could grab the whole saddle and look for identifying marks. Your thoughts? No, mine. I'm talking again. Just talking, though. Just making conversation and nothing more. And if you find something to identify the marks, then you can do an old-fashioned detective work in town. Ask around. See who knows anything. You can start a serious investigation after sunrise. Assuming investigation is a real thing, like can you actually hit the pavement and ask people questions? Which leads to more people you can ask more questions to, or is that just what happens on detective shows? Need to find Black Tarn. I answer her howls with my own and persuade her to return to the physical world. Even if you save her this time, what makes you think you can keep her in this world for much longer? What is there for her here? My thoughts wash over yours. Ignoring the cat, you listen for Black Tarn's howls as they echo through the woods, carried across the gap between worlds. You follow the sound deeper into the forest until you see a shadow between the trees. Black Tarn! You shout, making your voice firm. Come back to us! Come back to what, Penny? The old woman snaps. Her voice is all around you. To Clay's sudden rages and Scarpa's cruel jokes. To this dead world that we failed to protect. And she's even responding to you rather than drifting away to the stars as something. You know enough not to debate Black Tom when she's in one of her moods. Instead, you keep your voice calm but authoritative, the way powerful spirits are supposed to speak. Come back to us, Black Tom. We need your help. Who is this Bane? Where did it come from? There are so many questions. From the east, I think, Black Tarn says, her voice hesitant. You've got her. One thing you know about Theurges, being one, is that if you ask a question, they'll want to answer. What is to the east, you ask? Another pack? All dead, Black Tarn says, her voice drifting through the spirit woods. You should know that. You should know so many more things. When I get back, I'll talk to Clay about how little time to push. Let's get back to Clay, you say. He hasn't done enough for you, Black Tarn says. A shadowy hand reaches out between two saplings. I'm always telling him that. Maybe he has his reasons, but when we get back, Clay and I will... You grab the hand and pull. Black Tarn tumbles back into the physical world, landing in ankle-deep snow. The eastern sky is brighter. How long have you been seeking her? And when you look around, the cat is gone. There's a little sizzle in your brain as your thoughts settle back into their accustomed shape. But don't worry, I'll be keeping my eye on you, Cub. Hello, Luxie. Not silver, Black Tarn says, holding the dead rider's lance. It's still freezing cold and the metal sticks to her palms. You need to get her wrapped up, but she's poking around the crime scene at the speed of a cop making overtime. But I feel there's something spiritual about this lance. What is his name, do you think? She pokes the dead man's Arctic camo jacket, partially open with the lance. The man's tablet is completely trashed, every port filled with frozen blood, but you peel the jacket open, blood, stringy and pink, half congealed, and find a wallet, no ID, but 140 in cash. Don't let Clay see that, Black Tarn says, gesturing for you to take the money. Her voice is shrewd and clear, but she doesn't seem to remember what happened to Clay, and you don't know where her clothes are. As you transfer the cash to your duct-taped wallet, a receipt appears among the 20s. Penicky Gunworks, Northampton, Massachusetts. You read automatically. Maybe the guy you killed, or who Scarpa killed, to hear him tell it, shop there. East, Black Tarn says, her tone haunted. The lost Cairn. Why did Clay never tell you? Why? A Cairn, a place of spiritual power, treasured by the Guru and their enemies. What does she mean? But you can't wait here any longer. Black Tarn's lips are purple. You peel a thermal blanket off the dead rider and wrap it around Black Tarn, then point her back towards town. She hobbles through the snow, leaning on the lance. You walk alongside of the road for a few minutes before a familiar yellow van screams to a halt, blasting slush across Black Tarn's bare feet before lurching and stalling. Scarpa yells something, then rolls down the passenger side window because he can't hear him and screams it again. Where the fuck have you been? Why didn't you call? You start to play. Scarpa mocks, perfectly mimicking your tone of voice and adding a tone of absurdity to it. I'm so sick of your voice. We're not done yet. People might be in danger. You wince at your words coming from Scarpa's mouth. I was keeping Black Tarn safe. At least one of us actually cares about elder werewolves. Yeah, so we're just like, I'm reading you a book. You're tuning in, you're chilling out, you're just listening to me read. That's the whole plan for the session. Who knows how long I'll go? I just want to keep practicing voice acting and audiobook narration. And it's good fun. You just hit a Black Tarn who does not react. I'm so sick of your shit, Scarpa says. You already let Black Tarn kill that trucker, which I'm going to be dealing with for weeks, and now what? You've been wandering around all morning? You could not be more useless. Get in the van so we can figure out what to do with Clay. I don't want Scarpa getting so mad he wolfs out where people can see. I get in. Black Tarn is silent for a while as Scarpa blasts down the country roads towards the recycling centre. Then she says, I met the Stormcat. Scarpa almost hits a yield sign. Stormcat's dead, he says. No, she's not, because you just talked to her. But before you can say anything, the Guru of Broadbrook are dead, Black Tarn says. But the spirit of that place lives on. I think the Stormcat needs help. Actually, you say, shit, you wanted into the Umbra again, BT? Scarpa says, cutting you off. Black Tarn grabs your old parka and whispers in your ear, "The Stormcat needs your help, Penny. They think I've lost myself in dreams, but sometimes someone finds me there at the Broadbrook Cairn Fell Pit. Its spirit endures." You nod. Broadbrook, Northampton, the Stormcat. Everything is pointing in one direction. The van lurches to a rattling halt outside the recycling centre. "Clay wants to talk with you," Scarpa says, his voice carefully composed. "Where is that boy?" You know how he is. A momentary flawless impression of Clay's raspy voice, offered without enthusiasm or sardonic humour. Scarpa's eyes are red-rimmed, his skin grey and drooping. He's in his 50s, but he looks 70 right now. The old man doesn't move from the driver's seat or try to roll the van into the garage, so you drop down into the snow and head for the main door. It's still half open, letting the cold in. When you glance back at Scarpa, he's banging on the steering wheel. "What happened, man?" "Yeah," he asks Black Tarn. "We ruled these lands. We were kings. We were fucking kings." He's weeping as you head inside and yank on the door until it latches. You can't remember the last time you ate, so the first thing you do is head into Black Tarn's filthy kitchen and make yourself a peanut butter sandwich. There's some old pepperoni too, but when you consider making some tea, you hear Clay groaning. They put him in your room, you realise as you wipe the crumbs off your hands and cautiously approach. There's nothing left of your bedroom except the werewolf. Everything else has been destroyed. "What about my books and my computer? I need to research everything I've learned." "Shattered, monitor. Keyboard with half its keys missing. Your all-in-one computer is no more, and the old but reliable external hard drive is just shreds of metal and plastic. Your books are a soggy mass of pulp as if dissolved by digestive enzymes. Nothing remains. Your clothes, too, are all destroyed by some combination of ripping claws, Clay's leaking black putrescent, and animal piss. Scarpa tends to urinate when upset, so that's probably his fault." "Looks like you need to take better care of your things, pup," Clay wheezes. He sprawls monstrously across your bed. He looks half like a Garou in Krenos war form, half like a marshmallow dropped on a campfire. His face is mostly intact, muzzle glistening wetly with blood and filth, but his lower body is a nightmare of corruption, especially his bowels, which have swollen monstrously. Your cereal bowl rests beside the bed, full of cigarette butts, and the air is hazy with tobacco smoke. Your green backpack, normally stored carefully beside the bed, is gone. Either it dissolved or Scarpa took it again. "What have you found to fix this, boy?" Clay says. Black blood dribbles down his hairy chin. "I pulled Black Tarn out of the Umbra. We both met a spirit called the Stormcat. The spiritual element seems important, but I'm not sure how." "The Stormcat?" Clay says. "Wait, I've heard that name. Of course, the Broadbrook Cairn." "What's that?" you ask. Clay sighs, and for a moment you see him as he used to be, through the monstrousness of his ruined form. "A great pack once reigned to the east of here," the old wolf says. "They believed they could stop the apocalypse. They could show us all a better way. Arrogant bastards, right? But for years they did. The lands they ruled were bright and clean. Wyrm spirits, even humans, found equilibrium, maybe even peace. Scarpa never trusted them, but I suspected you might be one of us. I considered sending you there." Ash drifts off the bed. "But around the time of your first change, the Broadbrook Cairn fell so suddenly that we didn't even dare investigate. The galliards fell silent as the urges ceased their rites, and the skies east of here turned pale, as if the spirit world had retreated in shame and horror." Oh, that voice fucks me up. Okay. We're not going to do that anymore. "Oh, hey, Emma." "Yeah." "I hope." It's the best thing about these sort of chill streams where I'm just reading a book. All you need to do is sit there. You can pretend to work even. It's like just like listening to an audiobook. I spoke with a spirit called the Stormcat, an exile from Broadbrook, maybe? Clay's eyes calculate as if he's unwilling to reveal certain things to you. "The Stormcat spoke to you?" he says. "You saw her?" "I saw her, but she didn't speak. The Stormcat is a powerful and dangerous spirit, a herald of Tyrannus, the Thunderer, and I fear she has work for you, boy. The spirits at that place were wise. Maybe you'll learn something before it's too late. Isn't that what you want? But no, I doubt." He starts coughing, and he doesn't stop, even as his intestines swell more and more, leaking sticky white pus over your bedsheets. Scarpa crashes into the room, red-eyed and bloody-fingered. "What'd you do to it?" he shouts. "I told him about the storm cat," you say. "He knows who—" "Sharp and move," Scarpa says, shoving out of the way and running to the Arun. But he's no healer, and you don't see Black Tarn. He can't help, Clay roars as his muscle rots, exposing the little yellow bone. He never helps. The old werewolf's flesh boils and he thrashes, overturning the bowl full of cigarette butts and splattering ash on the carpet. Then he closes his eyes and slumps down into unconsciousness, wheezing pathetically. "Get the fuck out!" Scarpa shouts at you, shoving you out of your room. You stumble through the trash-strewn hallway that connects your room to the living room and the kitchen. You can see the yellow van through the dusty horizontal blinds above the faded sofa. Fucking hell. The harsh thing just wrecks my throat. And I've got a tiny mustache hair poking directly into one nostril, tickling me. An Erie County Sheriff's Office police SUV is parked next to it. Maybe someone traced a dead trucker here or found evidence of a dozen other things Clay's pack has done over the years. Two cops get out of the SUV, stomp their boots in the snow, look around. One points out the van, but they're not in any rush. It's time for you to go. Wait, your thoughts? No, it's me again, your friend from the Cayon east of here. A stormcat sits on the dirty sofa, paws folded daintily. All over bangs and shouts from your bedroom. I remind you that there's nothing for you here, and I think you know where to go. What's waiting for me there? I need a spirit's wisdom. The wheel is turning, Cub, but it's rusted and jammed. The smell of burning metal, a screen of failing machinery, that's what awaits you. That's our world now. I close my shining blue eyes, open them slowly. The air smells like ozone. I'm trying to change things, Penny. I just don't think it will work. Have you ever imagined what it's like to see what's coming and know that you can't change it? I've done this 1,000 times and it never works. But here we are again. The cops reach the door and start knocking. Your bow is in the van, you realize. You can't get to it now. You look around, maybe Scarpa brought it inside, but no. If these cops come in here, they'll die. I prefer people didn't get torn to shreds, all things considered, especially if it exposes what we are. I will respect your desire for mercy and keep the men outside alive if it's within my power. The room darkens, as if storm clouds have suddenly covered the winter sofa, and the little grey cat seems to grow larger, as if something impossibly vast stands behind the sofa. Something massive that's coming this way. Go while you still can, Penny. You grab a fanny pack because you can't see your green pack back anywhere. Back through the trash-strewn hall, past Scarpa screaming for Clay to be quiet, and Clay screaming in mindless pain. Out the busted screen door, into Black Tarn's frozen garden. You almost expected to be here, but no. A sudden bang and you jump. Gunshots? No, a peal of thunder overhead in a white sky. When you look up, lightning crawls slowly across the pale heavens, passing from west to east, then over the horizon. You know the woods behind the recycling centre, and though you have no problem avoiding the cops, you have to stay in town and risk exposure for a little while longer because you need one more thing before you leave. Clothes. Your old parka is ragged and filthy, your gloves more duct tape than leather. You head to the pharmacy you don't normally use and buy a loofah with soap ready in it, a pack of new white t-shirts and thick wool socks. Then you lock the store's bathroom and clean yourself up in the sink. There's a lot of dried blood, but you scrape it off and dump everything into the trash can. The fleece and parka go too, they're beyond saving. That means you have to hurry down the street, arms crossed, to the cheap consignment shop. It's cold in here too, we're called on help by the ugly glare of the woman behind the counter. She looks like she's biding her time, picking out a really good slur to call you. But you have money now to buy clean clothes. Good ones, not so expensive that you can't afford to explode out of them in a burst of rage, but not the dirty, sweat-smelling cast-offs Clay used to toss your way. You look for something that will get you out of town without problems. After searching the racks and making sure you have enough money for necessary cold-weather clothing, you pick out something half decent for once. College boy clothes. Not too prep. Regular human clothes. You don't want to be rich. You know what the rich have done to the living earth. Woo! Great fucking line. But you'd like a pair of pants that don't smell like blood and fur. A quick scan of the aisles turns up a lot of nice stuff that won't make you look like an extra on Riverdale. You scoop up a button-down shirt, a Buffalo University hoodie, grey, a pullover, dark blue, and wool slacks. You'll still freeze to death like this, but a few more minutes of browsing the aisles and you find tall black boots and a long winter coat the same colour as the cat spirit. Scarves are cheap, and you even find a pair of herringbone patterned gloves lined with artificial fur on the inside. What else? Ah yes, undergarments. And now you almost feel like a normal person. The clerk glares at you the whole time. The people of the map will never trust you. Ignoring those hard, cold eyes, you also buy a lighter, some maps, a roll of toilet paper, and some plastic baggies, in case the snow turns to rain. Aw, yeah man, that sucks. We have a subscription to OneDrive. If you install the OneDrive application and let it update and back up things, that may be an easy way to get quite a lot of storage without paying extra for it. Okay? Okay. When you pay and get dressed. Okay. Now you won't draw so much attention. But you're faced with so many possibilities now that you barely know what to do. If you really want to learn what happened to Gaia, it's clear those answers aren't waiting here. They're to the east. The question is how to get there. Got enough money to take a bus across the state line. That's safe and reliable. And warm. Or you could try hitchhiking. That's risky, but you save money. Or you could change. In wolf form, you could run and hunt during the day, seek shelter at night. That would be glorious, assuming you didn't freeze at night. Pay attention as I hitchhike the whole way there, watching for signs of weird or dangerous behavior. Learning to read people is an important skill for a werewolf. The rage sets people on edge, makes them hard to predict, unpredictable in unpredictable ways, Clay said in one of his more poetic moments. And it's true. You're not exactly scared of getting mugged or beaten up. When push comes to shove, you can always bite, but you don't want to draw unwelcome attention. You'll have to stay alert. You scan the streets, trying to get a feel for the passing motorists. The first person is a clean-cut woman in an Acura, and she's fine. She takes you all the way to Rochester, even if she keeps looking at you and trying to work up the courage to ask if you're a teenage runaway. Is in Rochester where you run into trouble. First guy's Honda smells like there's a corpse in the back seat, and you get out as fast as you can. The second guy wants a blowjob and gets so aggressive they have to bail at a stoplight. So you figure maybe a woman would be safer, even if one will even stop for you. You hop into a Chevy truck with a friendly-looking older woman, and you're there for over an hour before you see the flashing lights behind you. It all goes down at a service plaza between Syracuse and Albany. You should have seen the signs, you think, as the cops search the back of her cab and find 2 unregistered weapons. The truck is stolen, too. The cops search your pockets, check your ID, then take all your money. But then you realize that they're all paying attention to the woman. You carefully retrieve the ID from where the cop just dropped it and take another step back. Another. They're not paying any attention. You disappear into the darkness of the night, poorer but wiser, and abandon I-90 of a smaller parallel road. You half expect the cops to pick you up a quarter mile down the highway, but no one ever comes that way. You flag down a semi after walking an hour through the freezing snow. Your mind wanders as you warm up in the trucker's cab. You think about the tribes. Clay said that soon after you become a true guru, you'd start to hear the calls of the patron spirits that watch over what's left of the Guru nation. A mere cub couldn't join a tribe, but you've thought about each of them over the years. You think about... Oh, there's so many options, because I think a few of them were added in DLC I picked up. DLC for a book. It's the future, baby. They call that a reprinting. It's not as new as it seems. Let's do it. Ghost Council. The Ghost Council. Mystics and seers willing to fight the worm using the worm's own dark secrets. Secrets are meant to be kept. Then they're meant to be used as weapons against the worm. That's what the Ghost Council believes, and they've proven their wisdom to the Guru time and again. Of course, no one trusts them, anyway. Ghost Council theurges are legendary for their power and wisdom. And you've often dreamed of joining their grim and august ranks. But to join the Ghost Council, you would first have to prove yourself to the great coiling dragon that is their patron spirit, the one Black Tarn calls Peterskog and Clay named the Serpent of Seronos. None of your old packmates trusted the Ghost Council. Scarpa said that they came from a lineage of Guru who dug too deep into the earth long ago, who drove themselves mad with the secrets they discovered. Alright, stop doing that, Jimbles. On and on it goes. Scanning for people, signs of criminal intent, constantly alert. It's exhausting because you don't want to sleep and, hey, kid, wake up. You're still riding with the trans woman going in for top surgery, right? The one with the Tahoe? Yeah, you're still in her truck, and she said she was heading to, this is Northampton, end of the line. You feel clear-headed and focused when you wake up, less consumed by the ever-present threat of rage. But that's the end of the line. You clamber out of the Tahoe, and then the cold air hits you. You turn back, and the woman gives you one last smile, and you see yourself reflected in the window. Your first reaction is that you look like hell. Who would ever pick you up? A kind soul, maybe. Or a bored one. As the woman rolls away and the cold closes in, you contemplate the strange and frequently challenging intersections of your human ethnicity, your Garou nature, and what remains of the tribes. The Garou tribes aren't human families. Black Tarn said the tribes were like religions, in a confusing sense that sometimes you choose your gods and sometimes they choose you. To Clay, each tribe was a yearning so strong that it took on a spiritual form in the shape of a mighty patron spirit that represented its values. And to Scarpa, the Garou tribes were nothing more than street gangs fighting over turf as an enemy army set up its artillery. But most humans don't care about your gods, your desires, or your tags. They see another human and they see skin deep, so you can't help but think about who you are to them and what that means to you. I'm at least partially native, though my mum was in some kind of messed up residential school and never knew or never told me about her parents. Your mum had a bad time growing up. That much you know, but you never got the details. Some things people just can't talk about. Now it's too late. Your father, originally from Texas, had it only a little better. He had some fun stories about bouncing between a res and Austin as a kid, but you think he only let you hear the fun stories. You didn't grow up with any werewolf stories, that's for sure. And your parents knew nothing about werewolves or the Garou Nation's complex, ugly relationship with the indigenous populations of Americas. Mwah. Enjoy your stitches. Thank you for joining us. European Garou were just as often as rapacious as the human colonists, killing native Garou, displacing them from their holy sites, killing them in frenzies of unholy violence that they justified after the fact. The Ghost Council was once strong in New York. You and Black Tarn tried to learn more about them after your first change. Had any of them survived to watch over you? Had any of them left legends so great that they lived on in spirit and could guide you? But records were spotty. Residential schools, erased languages, worse. And you couldn't learn anything concrete. It's snowing. Soft, fluffy snow that blankets this little triangular park and obscures the outlines of the houses. A snowplow rumbles past, blasting slush over a deserted bus stop. You guess it's either 8 or 9 in the morning. You're hungry and bone-tired, but you permit yourself a quick smile as the Tahoe rolls away because you made it. This was once the land of the Broadbrook Cairn, but you don't know who rules here now. Without guardians to protect this land, are its pains and horrors boiling over to adjacent territories? More snow gusts. You feel like a ghost, hearing this unfamiliar pace, as if not even the spirits have noticed you yet. But then they seem to gather around, cold and cruel, taking your measure. A shadow passes through the trees at the far end of the park. Then the snow settles, and you see college students at the bus stop, office workers looking for parking, people out walking their dogs despite the snow. Normal people. Just regular men, just normal men. The people of the map going about their everyday lives. You're the monster here, you're the intruder. You remind yourself to step carefully among people and spirits as you cross the park and start to explore. Chapter 2. Trail of the Straw Thief. The winter moon is surrounded by an extraordinary darkness, the logical antithesis of the supernal clarity of day, and in this oh shit. Let's try again. Chapter 2. Trail of the Straw Thief. The winter moon is surrounded by an extraordinary darkness, a logical antithesis of the supernal clarity of day. In this darkness, the dogs in every household howl together at the sight of a star, as if the stars were unnatural things. Angela Carter, The Smile of Winter. The rage is in you, making you itch, making you hurt. It feels like there's wolf fur and dirty hair between your skin and your flesh, and every time you move it slides and scratches around, and you just want to dig your claws into your skin and open it up and make the itching stop. Vegetarian cafe below street level, away from the freezing wind, serves as a temporary base of operations. Though you have no money, you manage to score a half-eaten bowl of lentil soup. One advantage of your monstrous condition is near immunity to disease and infection. You eat what you find. Surrounded by pre-Raphaelite prints in gilded frames, bookshelves heavy with modernist literature, and early morning students drinking smoothies and opening their laptops, all the trappings of a well-to-do college town, you search couch cushions for change and turn up 75 cents. Before you can learn more about the bane that invaded your territory, you have to consider the three necessities of modern life: food, shelter, data. You also need to consider the wolf. Other Gobru have probably moved into the territory around the Broadbrook Cairn, and werewolves don't react well to intruders. On the other hand, maybe someone here can tell you more about what happened. No use starving to death before I learn anything. I need a job and a place to stay. Maybe even a nice place, around normal people. You pay for your breakfast and grab a branded breakfast burrito on your way out, eating as you walk down the cold street. Normally you never bother to wear out shoe leather on a job hunt, since no one gets jobs that way anymore, but you also have an investigation to conduct and you've learned to follow your nose. And since you don't have a phone, a laptop, or much time, you can't spend all day on Indeed trawling job listings. You need to get up in someone's face without scaring them to death. The downtown area has a mini mall with a bookstore, fad diet food markets and restaurants, and lots of vaguely exotic knick-knack shops. You get every single one and no one is hiring. Not get out you creep not hiring, just fully loaded with college students and underemployed graduates desperate for paying work. But an entire morning spent talking with retail clerks, baristas, and tired postdocs gives you a few leads on where to find work. For a werewolf, jobs are a question of balancing your rage with the demands of employment. Customer-facing work means that you'll have to keep your rage in check, but even if you work stocking cans, you need to hold it together around bosses and co-workers. You also need a job with flexible hours, of course, and people are willing to ignore lots of weird shit. They don't have a car. This would be easy. This town is full of academics. I've passed 3 or 4 bookstores already. I look for library or bookstore jobs. Stocking is good solitary work. The bookstore in the mall wasn't hiring, but there's another one right outside. But when you head there, you feel like you're being watched, so you're going to make a cursory check to see if they're hiring. No. Before you leave. There are lots of independent bookstores in town, but even more students looking for intellectual work. So every place you ask is apologetic but unaccommodating. There are no jobs to be found, not even the humblest job moving crates of books, and those require a driver's license, which you do not have. But there's also a library in town. You head there. Forbes Library is a sprawling Romanesque building, a 19th century castle located on a hill across from Smith College. Cast iron railings flank a manicured walkway, now dusted with snow, that takes you inside. The interior is a spacious, quiet, and cool, but not cold. Once you have a library card, a brief self-tour familiarizes you with the circulation desk, the freely available computers, and the media library. You might be returning here for subsequent research, but when you inquire about jobs, everything is filled, and any opening requires an advanced degree. Damn, but this whole town is overeducated. A simple wolf can't catch a break. I don't want to do the repair job because we did that last time. I want to interact with normal people. What about barista or restaurant work? Your New York State ID refuses to say you're 21 no matter how many times you check it, so bars are off limits. But this town crawls with coffee shops and hip little restaurants. The place you had breakfast isn't hiring, but a waitress there tells you a few places that might need help. Most aren't hiring. There's an upscale breakfast place that seems interested, but their hours are inflexible. Finally, just before lunchtime, you step into a new coffee shop that keeps odd hours and opened a few weeks ago. The location is bad, but the furniture is ancient, and the espresso machine looks like a chunk ripped out of a U-boat's engine, but Buzzance is hiring. Hours are flexible, clientele is eccentric, if rather unsavory, and the owner, a magnificently fat Turkish woman with more rings than fingers, seems only moderately insane. Working at a coffee shop will require carefully controlling your rage, but a werewolf with some social grace could rake in the tip money here. You take a menu and promise to call back. I want a social and public-facing position. I'll take the job at Byzant's coffee shop. You start walking down a cold street. Slow down. Turn back around. The owner, Pembe, seems amused that you came right back. Dark eyes and golden rings flashing. She describes the many glories that await you slinging coffee to tired municipal employees. You're not sure about the location, under a rusty iron bridge from across a bunch of e-bike rentals, or the owner, who keeps laughing like she'll be imprisoned if she stops. Byzance doesn't even need a resume, or even an address. Payment is largely in cash, and you can start tomorrow. Obviously, you're being paid under the table, which means you're not being paid a lot. So you start right away? Pemby asks. You shake her glittering hand. Even as you've looked for a job, you kept your eyes open for places to sleep. No one you've spoken to has offered you a place to crash for the night, and you still haven't found any other werewolves, so it's time for a shelter. You've been in scarier towns than this one, but you also know how fast shelters fill up when it's cold, and you know that sometimes the staff can be worse than the residents. You adopt a suitably humble and deferential posture, but no one so listless that you look like you're nodding and tranquilized, and approach the interfaith cot shelter you saw earlier today. It's located in a building that looks like a Greek temple, currently wrapped in orange construction netting. Downstairs, past a disassembled stair lift for wheelchairs, a woman sits on her phone behind a desk. She tells you to be quiet when you ask her if this is the shelter. Finally, the woman finishes whatever she's doing and says, "This is the overflow shelter," pronouncing each syllable in overflow like you'd never heard of the concept before. You need to go to the main shelter on Aldrich and check there first. Where's that, you ask? There's a plastic holder for brochures on the desk and another bolted to the wall, but they're both empty. Oh my god. She pulls up the Google Maps on her phone. Aldrich. You barely get to look at the street before she yanks her phone back and sends you on your way. It's a long hike along unshoveled sidewalks to Aldrich Street. Lack of streetlights makes it hard to find your way. But after a few false starts and a car blasting you with freezing slush, you reach your destination. The Aldrich Street shelter is a big Italianate house pushed back from the street and gone to seed, an irregular black heap against the purple sky. You open the main door and step into a stinking, brightly lit room full of restless bodies. "Close the fucking door!" a ruddy-faced man yells before you finish opening it. You close the door and spot a thin, middle-aged white guy in an oatmeal sweater talking to an old and agitated black woman. The facility director points to a tablet in his hands, and the woman storms past you, furious, and stands in the doorway, glaring as if daring someone to make eye contact. Full up, the director tells you, not looking up for his tablet. Try Center Street. I was just at Center Street and I was told to come here. I am gliding slowly past the limits of my patience. Director starts to roll his eyes, then remembers himself. Center Street still has cots available, he says. Just fill out the forms here and bring them to Marie. Marie, you ask? It should be obvious from context I'm discussing the care director at Center Street, he says. He peels a form off a nearby table and hands it to you. Better do as he says, boy, a scowling woman at the door says. You'll end up in Langton. Langton, you ask? I would discourage you from staying there, the director says, not really paying attention. Violence and theft are endemic at facilities not affiliated with our network. But they got cots, the woman says. She leaves in a blast full of air. Close the door, the same man as last time yells. I'm not dealing with the shelter system. It's too cold for a human, but I should be tough enough to survive in Lupus form. You leave the Italianate house and creep between two dark and empty-looking buildings across the street. Hidden behind a crooked picket fence, you rearrange your equipment so you can carry it in wolf form. Drop to hands and knees as the cold bites into your palms and change. Flesh boils and rips, bones shatter and reknit, and you bite back a scream until blood dripples down your teeth, and you lick your teeth with your tongue. Huge and sharp. Good. You nose your way into your backpack and look for shelter. You check out abandoned houses, only realize that people are squatting inside when you have to run from someone's pet bulldog. After that indignity, you roam up and down King Street, looking for open doors or any kind of shelter, but you can't seem to catch a break. Motion-sensitive lights flicker on, dogs bark, and sometime after midnight, a police SUV rolls past. The police officer stops and takes out his phone, obviously looking to catch a picture of the stray dog. You don't like that, and hurry deeper into the suburbs, trying to ignore the cold. You're obviously not going to find any really good shelter. You're going to sleep in an abandoned chicken coop in the burbs. It's cold and wet, but it shields you from the wind. You dream that you cannot cry, and then when the tears come, they are hair, and the hair droops down your face, burning your eyes, and when you stumble blind to the kitchen and take scissors to cut the hair away, the hair is full of nerve endings, and the pain is blinding, and blood spills from the filaments of hair tumbling out your eyes. As if compelled, you keep cutting and keep weeping, and the hair keeps growing endlessly, blinding and agonizing. Hey, Leona, that's the third time you've heard that little dream poem thing, and I hope it drives you mad each time. Loxy. Did I say Leona? I'm not sure. Should definitely have been Loxy. You wake up because it's so cold you feel nauseous. Stretching painfully, you crawl out of the chicken coop an hour before dawn. The only break you catch is the porta potty. It was the damn it! I did say Leona. Okay, the tears are eyes. The tears are hair coming from your eyes, and the hair is actually nerve endings. Dream. That's okay. It's probably good because it was a hey, you hate this. Yeah. Only break you catch is a porta potty outside a nearby construction site. You nose it open, then transform inside. Aching and half frozen, you fumble with your clothes and pull your boots on and try not to throw up. Once your stomach settles, you trawl the bagel shops looking for neglected food, without success. As determination wars with concern about your future prospects, your thoughts turn to tomorrow night and not freezing to death. What if you're caught out here again? You don't have any formal survival training. You think back to what your pack taught you shortly after your first change. Blacktarn knew that Garou and spirits could point you towards safety if you respected their ways. The world, Blacktarn used to say, was a patchwork, a badly assembled thing, scarred and mutilated. Take one step off a busy thoroughfare and you'd find yourself in a legal dumping ground, a secret glade, or a monster's nest. The people of the map don't walk like that. They move along roads and corridors, and they instinctively fear stepping off the map into the land of monsters. You don't. You cut through alleys and forgotten gardens, deliberately violating property boundaries, forcing yourself to ignore the way people ought to move. And among the homeless encampments, abandoned vehicles, and fields touched only by snow, you find shelter. Shipping containers, sugar shacks, empty cellars with the doors unlocked. A bit of dumpster diving turns up a fleece blanket that you wrap into a tight bundle. You could survive a night, maybe two, but not more, not in a New England winter. Your first day at work is mostly orientation. The good news is that Bambi wants to throw you right in the morning shift your first week here. That's daunting, but it means that you'll have the afternoons free to explore the town. Ah, such a shame. Need to find other Garou and make formal introductions. There are certain courtesies expected even of a cub, and it's better to make contact with the local werewolves on your own terms than to stumble into them. Even if the werewolves of Broadbrook all died, the new Garou might have moved in by now. Tradition dictates that you perform the Howl of Introduction. The Howl is traditionally performed by the Pax Galliard, the Auspice known for its bold presence and talent for leadership in times of peace. The Scarpa is far away. If you'd prefer to be more discreet, you could look for glyphs. Some Garou mark their territory with a unique system of signs and scratches. Scarpa taught you the glyphs as soon as you could understand the primal tongue, instinctive language used by Garou in their wolf forms, and with enough patience you might be able to track the marks and symbols to a Kaon or some other werewolf community. But glyphs are old-fashioned, and not all Garou bother with them anymore. A smart young werewolf could go online and search for evidence of Garou, anything from news articles about animal attacks to deliberate hints and riddles left by urban wolves to help facilitate contact. Also, many city wolves move among an urban population's indigent and criminal communities. If you're able to stay cool around them, they might help you. I change into my lupus form and chant the Howl of Introduction. Hills surround Northampton, but you don't want to head into the woods, especially if no one lives out there. Instead, you pull yourself up into a fire escape or make your way into the roof of the Hotel Northampton. Shielded from view and from the worst of the biting wind, you strip, wrapping everything you own in your new hoodie, and then let your rage wash over you. The transformation is smooth, the agony of breaking bones sweet, and the agony of healing flesh sweeter still. Shifting into your lupus form used to leave you spiritually exhausted, but now it's almost as easy as becoming a human again. The cold is nothing now. You're only a blurred reflection in the metal heating unit, but you can still see your bright, two human eyes and your fur, which is silver. The clear, bright colour is surprising whenever you see it. You're the colour of the moon, or the Garou's fallen aristocracy, the silver fangs. You wonder if anyone would mistake you for one of those cruel monarchs, but you're in this form for a reason. You climb on 4 clawed feet to the highest point on the roof and howl. Though you belong to no tribe, you sing the notes of the Theurge Auspice as well as you can, and then describe Clay's pack and the unclean thing that attacked it. But there is no answer. Perhaps there are no guru here to receive your howl, or perhaps they will not answer a mere cub. You try again, but apart from the cars below and a barking dog out in the suburbs, there's only silence. After your third attempt, you stop before you draw unwanted attention. You reluctantly regain your homeward form, dressed hastily, and head back down to street level. But as you drop into the parking lot, you spot a well-dressed black woman hurrying to a luxury car. When she peels out, you notice that she dropped a card. You pick it up. The card reads, Daphne Clear, GRC Media Group. There's also a phone number, an email, and an address in town. Maybe it's a coincidence. And maybe someone heard you after all. GRC Media Group is located in a glossy new building in the boxy and metallic gentrification chic style, across the street from a garage junkyard ringed with concertina wire. You circle the building to make sure security isn't heavy. Nothing. The door swishes silently open as you approach, silently closed as you take in the tasteful atrium, the minimalist decor. A formica table holds brochures and engraved business cards. The one that says Daphne Clear, Chief of Operations, catches your eye because it's a faint, raised design on it. It's Spider, patron spirit of the Glasswalker tribe. Seems awfully bold to advertise oneself so clearly, but it's woven so subtly into the pattern that only a Garu could notice. Can I help you? The secretary, in a purple fleece, is sitting at a white plastic desk beneath a huge flat-screen monitor that's cycling through nature scenes. Her tone and expression say that some kind of bum, possibly a drug addict, has just wandered into her tasteful atrium. Best to learn about this place first. I'm just picking up on some brochures. You flip to the nearest brochure. GRC Media Group, providing sustainability communication solutions to a global marketplace. GRC Media Group's unrivaled content distribution platforms are for your organization. Are you here with an appointment? The secretary says, a trace of contemptuous amusement in her voice. You hold up the brochure to make it clear why you're here. Developing purpose-driven communications with GRC Media Group, a global audience of stakeholders, requires... There's some whispering at the desk. When you look up again, a man is striding towards you. Not a security guard, just a big guy in a too small button-down shirt, face and fist red and sweaty. You're gonna have to get out of here, pal? He glares at you until he meets your gaze. You're not even trying to be threatening, but a half-second of eye contact makes him flinch like you slapped him. You feel your rage rising to the surface, but you're still in enough control to decide whether or not to push it. It won't be easy, but I should be able to show them the card I got and persuade them to let me pass. Let's see our stats, actually. Oops. No dots in subterfuge. You're a big nerd. Honestly, this is the closest. It won't be easy, but I should be able to show them the card I got and persuade them to let me pass. I'm here to see Ms. Clear about a job in New York State, you say, holding up the GRC media card. It's a Black Tarn job? Could you tell her the Penny is here about the Black Tarn job? Not technically a lie, and if Ms. Clear is a glasswalker, she might know who you and Black Tarn are. Never heard of it, the secretary says, but your tone is so professional that she automatically picks up her phone and dials Ms. Clear's office. But it just keeps ringing. Oh, wait, big guy says, suddenly relaxed. She's with Elton. Oh, yeah, secretary says, putting the phone down. She with a client, you ask? A little moo of distaste from both of them, inviting you into the little circle of scorn for Elton, as if you were one of them. He's an independent researcher, the secretary says. She says it like that's what she's supposed to call him, and she flashes a cool professional smile. Elton is helping Ms. Clear conduct market research, so she probably won't be back today. She hands you another, even more impressively embossed card, but you can text her at this number. Should I tell her you were here about Black Tarn? Don't worry about it, you say. I'll just text her. Thank you so much. You got what you needed. You didn't make a mess of GRC Media. Now you can conduct some research on both Daphne Clear and this researcher, Elton. The temperature plunges, but you've made plans this time. You retrieve some free newspapers, cut through a garden that hasn't been touched in decades, hop a chain link fence, and approach an abandoned ranch house from across a boarded-up daycare. Despite previous signs of occupancy, no one has squatted here for weeks. You dig around under the porch and retrieve some dry wood, and kick out a board, crawl inside, and use the newspapers to start a small fire. The air is smoky, and the fire doesn't offer much warmth, but you're able to curl up in your stained fleece. and get a few hours of sleep. You dream of the tribes. What if the Ghost Council reject you? What if after beholding their patron spirit, you find yourself spiritually incompatible with them? Who else might you join? The children of Gaia, who seek harmony and reconciliation, only shredding through flesh and bone when no other choice is available. The rage is inescapable. It makes the Garou who they are, but it has to be tempered and controlled. It has to be a sheathed blade until it's time to fight. The children of Gaia seek peace and enlightenment, though they recognize what they are and don't shy away from the war against the worm. The other tribes consider them weak, even cowardly. Some of them enjoy a blasphemous little laugh at the expense of their patron spirit. Scarpa called their patron spirit Karkadan, and said of the wolves of the ancient Middle East spoke to her a millennia ago just to find peace within themselves. He respected the children of Gaia, since they knew how to survive, just like him. After all, the other tribes laugh, but the other tribes get themselves killed a lot for stupid reasons. So even from a practical point of view, the children of Gaia must be doing something right. The next morning dawns cold and bright. You feel half frozen and 3/4 dead, but at least you woke up. However, this cold is so bone deep, you can't even rely on your werewolf regeneration to heal you. Your first day of work, it's more than orientation. You spend the morning at Bizon's Coffee, training on the machines and learning a baklava from your Bodek. Pembe is eccentric, arrogant, and demanding. She makes vague and confused allusions to her year's couch surfing as she followed a band across Europe, her ex-husband paramilitary service, and her time imprisoned by the Kurdish military as she teaches you how to operate a coffee machine. You serve your first customers later that afternoon. College students seated beneath a psychedelic reproduction of Ilya Repin's famous painting of the Zaporozhian Cossacks, and your smooth manners impress both the college students and your new employer. Not enough to live on, Pembe says. Roll into sock, you see, rich man? Boom from behind, down he goes, you take his wallet. Also, help yourself to one ship box and back, always has yesterday's pastries. You will absolutely help yourself to old pastries. Pembe's advice about mugging people with a blackjack you'll consider if your housing situation goes worse. I researched Daphne Clear and this Elton person. Just turning your thoughts to Daphne Clear makes you feel as if you're being watched. And who knows what else beside the Glasswalker is monitoring your progress through this town. That assumes Daphne Clear is the Glasswalker, of course. After reading the brochures you took from GRC Media, you see several avenues of investigation. Internet research might reveal more about Daphne Clear and her connection to Elton, though you doubt passive research will tell you what you need. You'd have to get online and talk to people, and you'd have to be clever not to draw attention. But maybe it's smarter to go low-tech against the Glasswalker. Archival research at the library might yield physical records, though that'll take patience. We could hit the streets and investigate. A cool and friendly attitude will encourage people to talk, and then here's the trick. Stop talking once you're gone. Back to the library to dig through physical records. Glasswalkers can arrange digital records, but console jockeys have a bad habit of ignoring printouts and analog photographs. Increasingly, libraries don't even bother with physical record keeping as it takes up space they don't have and requires expert maintenance, which costs money. But this actually helps. Forbes Library has an entire storage room devoted to recent newspapers and magazines that they desperately need to scan or trash. Disorganized and neglected, the room contains physical newspapers as well as tech, media, and environmentalist magazines that may tell you more about GRC Media. You learn basic details from archived magazines. Daphne Clear is in her mid-40s and got a computer science degree from Georgia Institute of Technology. Previous work in publishing, environmental research, comms. From newspaper records, married to a Linus Harriman, then separated. Harriman died 3 years ago. That mysterious death piques your interest. You've been reading for so long that you're starting to lose focus, so instead you let your gaze wander as you flip through physical records, looking at pictures and diagrams, waiting for something to catch your eye. And then it does. You stare at the picture, attached to an article from the Daily Hampshire Gazette, the local newspaper. Fight over development, deal turns violent. The text of the article, including the byline, has been replaced with a completely different article from the Carter administration. Impressive hack, given since this is a physical newspaper. But the picture is labelled Linus Harriman, 46, Elton Day, 19, and Catherine Aslanian, 20, have opposed the Broadbrook expansion, which would... Then it turns into more randomized babble. The photo is in colour, the newspaper may be 5 or 10 years old. Linus, a middle-aged white man in faded leather jacket and torn jeans. Elton, a young black man in a long black coat. Catherine, blonde and Hollywood pretty, with big cornflower blue eyes and a long blue dress. Local Woodlands is behind the trio, but something is off. That hill, for example, looks like a barrow. This is good. This is what you need. There's Elton. Elton Day. And you remember a previous mention of your last name, Aslanian. You flip back and find another gibberish article that contains only the phrase Aslanian purchased the Main Street apartment that was formerly the site of the words, and everything else is randomized fill from, you think, a Dickens novel. This is a picture of a building on Main Street. Could Elton or one of the others pictured in the photo still own property there? If so, you should be able to track them down. Still without shelter, you head back to the abandoned house, but then you spot a police SUV sitting with its lights off across the street. You fade back into the tangle of woods and fields that exist off the map, and hurry across town as the temperature drops until you reach a shipping container you noticed earlier. You repeat your trick with free newspapers and broken sticks. The fire this time gives off foul black smoke and barely warms the metal container, but you're still able to get a few hours of sleep. Freezing rain in the night. When you awaken in the morning, the world is frozen and sparkling. Shimmering little rills of melting water run past your tall boots. You can't stop shaking, even after a half hour of moving around. This can't go on. You need shelter. Up early for Byzance. The term pandemonium exists. All demons. Up early for Byzance, the term pandemonium means all demons in Latin and was coined to describe coffee shops next to colleges at 6 in the morning when a major paper is due. You sling coffee, bag pastries, and console a student who cries so hard that she throws up. And then you clean it up. Then you go back to slinging coffee. I tracked down Elton's apartment. It should be somewhere in Main Street, and Main Street isn't that big. You're a pretty good investigator, but more importantly, there just aren't too many places he can be. Assuming he's still there, of course. A casual inquiry at the late-night pizza pizza. Hey, have you seen Elton? Receives an affirmative, so he's still around. You repeat this inquiry all morning and get confused affirmations at a bubble tea shop and a used bookstore, but no one knows his address. Around noon, you head into the burrito place on Main Street, mostly because you're hungry. When you sidle towards an abandoned burrito, a worker appears beside you with an annoyed and suspicious, "Can I help you?" And you blurt out, "I'm looking for Elton," to divert her suspicion. And she says, "Yeah, he's been upstairs all day," as she dumps the tray with a half-eaten burrito into the trash. Hungry, but triumphant, you step outside into the wintry sunshine and look straight up. There's an apartment on the top floor. No ground-level entrance you can find on this side, though, so you circle around and cut through a covered alley. You've been looking for me, haven't you? The alley is so dark that even your sensitive eyes take a moment to adjust. The man standing in front of the stained bricks is a few years older than you, with a dark, serious face and short black hair. He's dressed in tattered but elegant clothes. A black frock coat with mismatched buttons, polished black boots, and a dark frayed V-neck sweater. Leather gloves protrude from the breast pocket of his coat. The young man has the air of a scholar, especially with a leather-bound quarto clutched in his hand, but his knuckles are crisscrossed with pale scars. Though he looks dangerous, he makes no move to attack. He is hot. "My name is Elton Day," he says. "Miss Clear told me that you had come." "I think this guy is one of us, so I should keep this formal. I'm Penny of Clay's Pack in northern New York. A Bane attacked us and attracted here." "Been a while since I got any respect," Elton says with a cold laugh. He's not local. He sounds British. Not a Cambridge lad, despite his air of bookish and genteel poverty. That glot will stop swallowing out the back half of bin. I remember we had an argument about glottal stops? Hints at working class origins. "I'm Elton Day of the Shadow Lords. I used to be more, but now I'm not." "Step inside, and you can tell me how you came to this miserable place." He steps past you towards a narrow door and takes out an elaborate brass key. "Why do you smell like a dog that learned to smoke?" "Incense is part of the business," Elton says, opening the outer door. "You know that. You're Theurge, too. Crescent moon. You know what an auspice is, right?" The stairs from the street to Elton's apartment are narrow and steep. The urge to walk hand over foot is almost overwhelming, and though it's only late afternoon, there's no light except from a crooked witch window at your back. The stairs bow in the middle, as if 1,000 years of monks have climbed these steps, though the building can't be more than 2 centuries old. In the darkness, Elton inserts the key again without much hesitation, turns it easily, and then puts his shoulder into the warped wood of the ancient door until it pops open. You step into a living room full of books and immediately bang your knee on a coffee table covered in heaps of printouts. Books are everywhere at every level, noticeably at wolf level in several places. The smell is books and dust and old rugs and brass and pewter, old cigarette smoke burned into the walls, and black coffee. You see the cups left everywhere, balanced in the oldest places, and heavy dinners not always cleaned up right away. You pick your way past iron candle holders covered in melted wax, plates decorated with blue pastoral scenes stained red and black, fat leather-bound notebooks full of handwritten scrawl, and nearly bang your head on a low candelabra strung with electric lights. Sit wherever, Elton says, sweeping his hand across a dozen surfaces, not suitable for sitting. Never interrupt an enemy when he's making a mistake, or a potential ally when he's making tea. I'm hungry, so I'll wait for crumpets. Yeah, he's pretty, that's for sure. You shut up and watch as Elton makes tea. He seems lost in memories, much like an older man than he is, but finally he says, "You're here for a reason. Tell me what it is." Honestly, the first thing he needs is a place to stay. Let's talk sofas, bathtubs, whatever Elton can offer. You're kidding. Elton says the moment he realizes that your story of adventure is turning into a story of woe. You shrug. Wolf's gonna eat, you say. And sleep. Do you have a job? The Shadow Lord says. I'm a barista at Byzant's Coffee, you say. You don't waste time, the Shadow Lord says. He disappears into the kitchen for a moment and comes back with a business card that reads Al Gaultier Realty. The card has contact information for Mr. Gaultier, and on the back, in an unusually fancy penmanship, the Archingaru glyph that means safety. I'm doing you a favour, the Shadow Lord says. If you show him that card, Mr. Gaultier will permit you to stay in one of his units starting immediately, as long as you still have a job. Now, tell me about what brought you here. I'll focus on the Bane, maybe throwing in a few details about how I kicked its ass. Wait. Fuck it. Yeah, why not? That sounds cool. You tell the whole story. Elton only nods, sipping his tea, and tells you to start again. As you do. And it was the horse that talked? Elton asks when you go over that part again. I'm sure of it, you say. Could the flies talk? Elton asks. I never thought to ask them anything, you confess, sipping your tea. You don't know how tea is supposed to taste, but this stuff isn't bad. But afterwards, when a stormcat appeared, he told us part before and Elton showed surprise, but did not comment. Now he says, I wonder if the stormcat sent you to save your pack leader, or rather to do something actually important. Well, when Clay said Scarpa killed the Bane and started to eat the horse flesh, he started to say, This Clay was a fool and deserves the death that's coming to him, Elton says. Do you even want to save him, Penny? Couldn't care less, but we can't escape our obligations, Shadow Lord. That draws a dark laugh from Elton. We try, though, don't we? You raise your teacups to that. So what are you going to do here? I still want to speak to with Daphne Clear at GIC Media. Do you know her? We don't interact much, Elton says. The silence that follows tells you a great deal about his opinion of Daphne Clear. But finally you say, Well, you must know something. Daphne Clear wasn't originally one of us, Elton says. Her husband, Linus Harriman, was one of our Silver Fangs, though. Actually, ex-husband. They were split up by then. It doesn't matter now that he's dead, I guess. She runs an environmental news and media company, but mostly she watches the thing in the woods, the thing that turned our Kaon into a nightmare. To a lesser extent, she deals with minor problems that a bit of data manipulation can solve. People talking about weird dog attacks, that kind of thing. You nod, remembering the scrambled files. I don't have many good things to say about glasswalkers, Elton says, but they're good researchers. Daphne told me about you maybe 10 minutes after you got into town, actually. But it's not like she could do anything against the answering tiger. The answering tiger, you ask? What's that? A spirit? A bane? What use in names? The Shadow Lord says. A final night. God, it was only 3 years ago. It feels like 1,000. We realized too late that we'd already lost. The tiger had let us believe our own propaganda. That's all a tiger was. All a tiger is. A lie shaped like what you want to believe. We lied to ourselves and it came to us and it blinded us. We turned on each other. Shadow Lord against Silverfang. Human against Skarru. Family against family. The answering tiger had servants, of course. Bane's like the one you battled. Fomori, werewolf sworn to the worm. But the weapon it used to strike us down, it was us. What more can be said? A gust of icy wind rattles the windows. Your hands are cold. You glance down to see that you've drunk all the tea. The Shadow Lord sips his tea and then looks out the window. No, he says. It's getting late and I've neglected my studies. You rise, careful not to knock any books to the ground. I respect your determination. Call that number I gave you, and for what it's worth, I hope the spirit's a guy I watch over you. He follows you back down the tall, narrow steps, closes the downstairs door, leaving you alone in a wind-blown parking lot across from the covered alley. How many days have you spent on the streets? You don't even think a werewolf can survive more nights exposed to a New England winter. You have to try getting a place to stay. Day 3 of gainful employment. Overdose in the bathroom. You keep your head down as Pember talks to the local cops. They don't pay you any attention, but she's in a bad mood all morning because the OD drove away business. I call the number on the card Elton gave me so I have a place to stay. It's time to put a roof over your head. Since you don't have a phone, you use the one to bypass. The call connects immediately. Al Gaultier. Hi. I spoke to my friend Elton about an available unit. You got a job, kid? Work at Byzant's coffee shop on. Jesus Christ, kid, I didn't ask how your mother met your father. Shut up. Just get your supervisor to indicate that you're gainfully employed and need it for insurance purposes. And bring the card from Mr. Day and come to, hey, Todd, what do we have? Muttering from the other end of the line, then Al Gaultier reads off an address that's a half hour away on foot. Can you handle these two things? He snaps. You're talking to me or Todd? He's hung up. Pembe's happy to sign whatever you want. She'd probably sign over the coffee shop if you caught her during the breakfast rush, but it's not like you can just walk out after using her phone and getting her to sign something. You end up manning the toaster from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., trying to memorize where all the ingredients are while making small talk with some of your regulars. The days are getting lighter, but the sky is slate grey, the air bitter, and when you reach the address Mr. Gaultier gave you, as if by magic, one step takes you from a truck-trick commercial avenue into the snowy woods where a decaying gambrel squats among skeletal black trees. In summer, the foliage will hide it completely from the commercial street in one direction and the farmlands in the other. Only the brand new pickup idling in the driveway hints that the cottage is something other than a ruin. The truck door bangs open and a short fat man jumps out, Mr. Gaultier. Hey, you! Yeah, you! Yeah, you ugly! Are you Elton's friend? I sigh. Yes, I am Elton's ugly friend. He knows how to find the losers, Mr. Gaultier says, as if he sympathizes with both Elton and himself, not you. Anyway, where's your thing? He scans your document and says, you still owe me the end of the month for your time here. First and the last month gets rolled into your next 3 payments. Let's get inside for the rest of the paperwork. Mr. Gaultier wears a pork pie hat to hide his baldness and a checkered coat. His movements are twitchy and anxious, like he's expecting the feds to jump out of the bushes at any moment. He talks in a rapid-fire ramble about how hard he'll kick your ass if you damage his property. It's a kind of Scar David DeVito vibe, or if the butler in The Prisoner did poppers. Inside, his 2 sons are yelling at each other about a drill one of them dropped. Living room is trash, like raccoons used to hold secret illegal boxing matches there. It's also freezing. Where's the heat, you ask? Seems like a pertinent question. In New England. In February. Sure, we'll let us work. One of the sons yells at you. We're working on it, Mr. Gaultier says. But look, these old houses need heat, you say. Fucking kids today want their internet and everything else right away, Mr. Gaultier says. Maybe you should try working for what you want instead of whining for it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Are you looking for an apprentice landlord? I won't ask much of a salary as long as I get it cut. Sorry, kid, Mr. Gaultier says. Already got an apprentice. One of his sons drops a wrench in there that calls him a arsler. Once the wrench is back on the crooked table, the younger son is all strange smiles as he leads you on a tour of the house. He tries to hide the gambrel's warped timbers and crumbling stonework as he gives you the tour, but he's not fooling anyone. The electricity works, and only the living room is trashed, but the place is small and badly laid out. 2 rooms upstairs, a kitchen and living room downstairs with a fireplace and mismatched furniture. The bathroom is bare concrete and chipped porcelain, and looks like a place for Victorian doctors to hose down mental patients. The water doesn't flow so much as ooze out the pipes. Yeah, this ain't getting fixed today, Mr. Gaultier says. Pack it in, boys. We'll send someone out in, I don't know, Friday-ish. The wind howls across the farmland, cutting through the warped timbers of the little cabin. Guys don't like looking stupid. Okay. I guess if you don't know how to fix that, I can call a professional. It'll be expensive, but if you just don't know how... We're not pissing good money away and someone hasn't paid us a dime, the older brother says. Exactly, Mr. Gaultier says. Show us a month's rent and maybe we'll give a shit about your little heating problem. Until then, buy another coat. Fucking bum junkie. They storm out. Get in the truck, leaving the paperwork for you to sign. First thing you do is clean the trash living room, which keeps you warm. You bag everything the Gaultiers didn't take with them and carry it outside, then across the street to an abandoned shed, maybe not a sugar house. Make sure no one's watching, then shove your way inside and find some mostly dry wood and an ancient bundle of newspapers. And you bring it all back to the gambrel and get to work building a fire in the fireplace. The fireplace needs a little cleaning, but the rusty flue works after you force it a bit. You use your lighter to get the newspaper going. The wood isn't great, but it smokes and cracks, but eventually you have a small fire. Without an axe, you're limited to brushwood, and it takes you most of the afternoon to find enough for a few days. Afterward, you investigate the furnace, but you have no idea what's wrong with it, and you don't want to damage it further. It's going to be a long couple of weeks until Gaultier sends someone to fix the heat, if they ever do. Make a fire and go to sleep. You're dragooned into making pastries after the chef burns herself due to faulty equipment and quits on the spot. Then is a bad teacher and berates you every step of the way and then just gives you $100 and tells you to buy treats from a wholesaler she knows. You idly consider pocketing the money, but this town is so small that you know you'd see her again. One place to sleep for the night means that your bones aren't aching anymore. Oof. We're going to take 5 minutes. We'll be back soon. Intermission time. Go stretch. friendos. I got a little bit more in me. Let's keep going for a bit longer. A shift and regenerate. A shift and regenerate slightly. Your wounds stop hurting. But you can't wander around in your hulking glabro form, at least not until you learn the streets better and know how to hide. Once your wounds are sufficiently healed, you shift back into your normal human form. I investigate the location of Broadbrook. You walk to the Forbes Library where you can search online and also look at physical maps. The nearest bend of Broadbrook is to the library. Is north of the library, but the forest around it stretches miles and miles to the north and west, not ending until somewhere in Canada where the trees give way to tundra, probably. There are parts of that forest that have never seen the people of the map, you're sure. Miles of land still ruled by North America's oldest spirits. You could conduct your initial research here from the comfort of circulation desk or a library computer. Both physical and online maps might reveal the existence of a settlement which will let you head towards Cairn, but not everything is online. Instead of poking around on the computer, you could head out early and scout on foot. Patience and survival training would help you turn up evidence of previous occupation. Alternatively, Garou leaves spiritual evidence of their presence, and you're a theurge. You might be able to rely on your spiritual awareness and attunement to find something interesting. Intuition. I shapeshift into... Whoa. There you go. Garou theurges would have veiled their territory to prevent discovery, but I'm sensitive enough to fill out what's left of their power and follow it to its source. Even as a theurge, you're no expert on Garou rites, but you know how power can linger. You also know what enchantment feels like, having spent so much time around Black Tarn and working in her garden. You relace your tall boots and hitchhike up to the Veterans Hospital. From there, you head into the woods. Civilization disappears in less than 5 minutes. You can't even smell car exhaust. Squirrels leap from branch to branch. Crows and hawks cry overhead. The land is hilly and rough, the trees crooked. You close your eyes. Old death. Something terrible happened here. Wounded spirits linger in this place. You follow your intuition, pushing through snow and sliding down hills, trying to remain open and sensitive. As you walk, the air seems to get more solid. You look around. There's no wind, but there's a sense of resistance ahead. Aha, you get it. Old magic, no longer maintained, but still powerful. Magic of veiling and warding, created to encourage you to keep walking and not pay too much attention. This is it. You ignore the subtle hints to turn away. When a half-hidden trail of almost cries out, "Follow me!" you instead climb up a low slope, and then you smell it, the faint, close reek of death. You follow the smell to an abandoned ATV half buried in a snowdrift. A leather glove lies nearby, its back covered in a design you don't recognize, some kind of crowned dragon in the sun? Almost certainly not Garou. When you turn it over, you realize that there's still a hand in it. You hastily back away. Looking around, you find a stick, kick some snow off it, use that to turn it over, and conduct a quick search. Nearby, a .38 revolver, rusted beyond hope of repair, a bronze sword so thick with verdigris that it looks like moss, and a wallet. The wallet has $7, 2 gas cards, and a card from Benecki Gunworks, right here in Northampton, Massachusetts. That might be worth checking out. The wallet also has a Forbes library card with the name Harmony Palace. You suspect Elton want to know about this. This battle happened at least a few years ago, but you're still able to follow the signs of fighting to the edge of a swamp where a terrible battle raged. There isn't much value, though. You find bullet casings, broken blades, a Red Sox hat. It's probably more into the snow, or at least lost in the cold water. The most interesting find is a saddle that looks exactly like the one the Bane wore. It's burned and blackened, but when you turn it over, you can read J.L. Heaney, Maker, Hadley, M.A. You've seen Hadley on maps. It's just a few miles away. You're gonna need to investigate this J.L. Heaney. You head downslope and find yourself standing over a half-frozen bog, a maze of tiny islands and hillocks surrounded by the gale-ed black water. A badly defaced standing stone rises crookedly out of the mud. The air is warm with rot. Flies rise up from the muck to seek your eyes and nostrils. That place is important, you're sure of it, but how? Maybe some more investigation will offer answers. You turn away from the marsh and head back into the woods. The sun has set, and it's bitterly cold and windy by the time you reach the Veterans Hospital. You warm up in the garden centre before the bus comes. You make a fire and go to sleep. Interrupt someone shooting up in the bathroom, and Oscar, another barista, leads them outside and starts talking to them about life choices. Oscar is a laid-back do-gooder type. You're nervous around him because he keeps eyeballing you like he needs to rescue you. Pembe yells at him for ditching when he comes back and tells him he's not getting any tips, and then just removes the tip jar for the rest of your shift. Your injuries have completely healed. I research his Heaney figure. You walk back to Forbes' library and try various combinations of Heaney, Leather, Northampton, Broadbrook, and so on. It doesn't take you long to find the man, Jasper Lee Heaney, a saddle maker and leather worker, formerly of Hadley, Massachusetts. Checking the map, his old address is less than a half-hour drive from here, over the Connecticut River. A few equestrian websites mention him, and his name also appears on Leather Daddy forums, old posts from mid-2000s praise his skill and professionalism at constructing fetishware. Online news articles indicate that Jasper Heaney died 4 years ago and that his house burned down last year, but details are scarce. You might have to cross the river to Hadley to learn more. You make a fire and go to sleep. 1 full week at Byzance. How when do you get paid? You spend all morning fighting with the espresso machine and forget to ask. See if I can learn anything more about Harmony Palace. You head back to the Forbes Library and hop on a computer. Harmony Palace graduated Berkshire Regional High School in 2013. Her sister Melody graduated in 2016. Few pictures, both girls tall and pretty with curly hair. Harmony's cropped short, Melody's unfashionably long. A picture of both interning at the studio of Lucinda Palace-Nash, a local neo-surrealist artist. A single death notice in the Berkshire Eagle for Harmony. Nothing for Melody. A startling lack of records for 2 young women only a little older than you, and what you can find has gotten the Glasswalker treatment. Randomized snippets of text instead of Facebook entries, deleted Tumblr posts, and other obvious signs of tampering. Almost every picture is gone. You have more luck with Lucinda Palace-Nash, a moderately successful local artist inspired by Leonora Carrington and Remedios Varo, according to a website. She has a studio in town. Her website says that she's touring art museums in Mexico for the next few weeks. She's interesting, though. If your other leads don't pan out, you might risk emailing her. All that took less than an hour. You still have some time before the sun sets. Go to Benicky Gunworks. Benicky Gunworks is, or at least was, nestled into the woods west of the town centre. It's an hour's walk along Route 66, but since the day isn't too cold, you elect to range through fields and farmland. That will let you avoid casual observation while gaining greater familiarity with the area. You don't see any more garoglyphs or other signs that you've left the map, but as you trundle through the woods, you suddenly come across a chain-link fence. Troubling. You circle around the fence to the north, cutting through muddy fields until you're back under tree cover and then return to the road. The gun store is a low concrete bunker that might have started life as an auto garage. It's closed, locked down, and shuttered. A few minutes spent exploring the cold mud and cracked asphalt around the store reveal only broken, rusted tools and a few shell casings. You can see a few ways inside. The combination lock is of excellent quality, and you have no idea how to open it, but the chain it's attached to looks rusted. You might be able to bash it open, or you could try popping open the garage door or wiggling through a window. The main problem is road traffic. You've kept out of sight so far, but a driver might notice you screwing around. Intact lock means that someone watches this place, and you don't want someone calling the cops. I examine the garage door. How exactly could I open it? You're no expert on mechanics, but you'll recognize this kind of rolling overhead fire door from Scarpa's garage. You can probably get it open enough to roll under it if you have the right tools. You don't have the right tools, or even the wrong tool, like a car jack. What you have is a bunch of broken junk scattered around a deserted parking lot. You might be able to cobble something together, but it'd take some technical knowledge. Looking at my zero mechanics. Oh, hello, Captain. Meow meow. Had yourself some afternoon food? Good job, kitty. Meow. Meow. I wriggle inside through one of the high, narrow windows. You strip off your hoodie and place it carefully next to the garage door. One of the windows is already cleanly broken, but it faces the road, so you'll have to move fast. It's an easy climb up onto the flat roof. From there, you drop down through the window. You climb through head first, which works well until you get to your hips. You're not quite sure how to maneuver them into the narrow window while simultaneously turning around so that you can land comfortably. You try left, then right, and you have to admit the truth. Your ass is stuck. can't remember the last time you had a decent meal, and now your big ass is stuck in a window. They're gonna find your skeletons like this. They're gonna find your skeleton like this. Wait, no, you can reach something with your hands, maybe a shelf you can't see because your backside is blocking the light. You get a grip on it and pull hard and finally free yourself. You drop down into the building. It took longer than you wanted though, so you hurry to the garage door, push up a few inches, and grab your hoodie. The dingy windows let in enough midday sun to reveal the gun store's empty metal shelves and wooden counters. You weren't really hoping to find an arsenal here, but this place looks stripped and bare. And from the jewel pods and condoms on the floor, you weren't the first person to go exploring. The store isn't big, and it takes less than 15 minutes to sweep the showroom, the garage storage room, and the back office. Your haul, 3 losing scratch tickets from 2017, a few damp pages from American Handgunner magazine, and the key that unlocks the office desk. Empty. At first, you think the metal desk is bolted to the wall, but when you try to pull the key back out of the drawer, the desk slides with a hideous shriek across the concrete floor, and a field notes notebook plops onto the ground to land in a puddle of icy water. You pick it up even as the water soaks into the pages, making the ink run, and open to a random page. What we had to do, I will not call him a traitor as he acted out of love for his art, and for the 3 families who guarded this land long before your birth, and will guard it long after your death. The man you called Mr. Heaney was more than my friend. He was a poet with leather and flesh that you should come to regard as more, including what appears to be a map of Broad Brook, and then you hear crunching outside. Vehicle tires and asphalt. You hop up onto the desk and peer through one of the high windows. Outside, MPD police cruiser. Toops, cops are getting out. When you glance down at the page again, nothing remains but wet streaks. You shove the field notes into your hoodie and hurry into the garage storage room. You can hear the police banging around at the front door. No time to waste. You push the garage door up 18 inches, roll under it, and sprint for the woods. The cops shout and pursue, but they're never able to get a line of sight on you as you bolt into the trees. In minutes, you disappeared into the deep woods. My voice is failing. My apologies. It's been 2 hours, you know. It's a pretty good run. I think I'm going to call it here. At 4:20, what an excellent time. However, I am driving. You know, I don't know, people getting stuck with your ice makes a lot of sense, Lexi. Stuck on it, something. In any case, that's pretty good. I had a pretty chill time. I enjoyed that. Running through. Just reading a book for a bit. So, I'm not going to make any promises about next week where I also have Thursday off. I think afternoon is actually already called for by someone else. So, that's pretty good. In any case, it has been highly enjoyable playing through, at least doing a bit of reading. It gets me a little bit back to my roots as a streamer, you know, reading an audiobook. In any case, for several people, it is late in the afternoon or maybe even early evening, turning into night, and that means it is bedtime. Please look after yourself. Have a good rest, and tell the people you love them very much. Okay, everyone, good night.